Hello there, it's Frederick here, and today we're going to be doing a Premier League tier list. This tier list will be based on a more casual viewer's view on which teams are interesting to watch, follow, you know, which teams are interesting, not necessarily how good they are or so. So let's just get started with Burnley. To me, the only interesting part about Burnley is their ability to defend and win games 1-0 or just holding out. And recently they just won against Liverpool, and that was an interesting game. But overall, it's Burnley has to go in boring for me. Even just their kit colors are a little similar to some other teams in this league, and to me, Burnley is a team which I don't need to watch very often. Um, Next, Wolves. Last season, I found Wolves to be very interesting, and I love the way they play and their counterattack style. This season they've been a little bit more less interesting, but they're still very interesting, and they can win against any team on their best day. And I hope Jimenez will be back soon from his head injury. Next, West Bromwich Albion. Oof. To me, this team is there are no interesting qualities about this team. There's no players I'm interested in. Their play style is void of anything interesting. I really don't have much to say. Kits are boring. Nothing special. Next, or boring, not nothing special. Um, Next we got Brighton. I think Brighton is one of those teams. Nothing special. Has a few interesting players. I love watching Trossard to hit the bar 4 times a game. If he just would be a little bit more accurate, wow, all the difference. But I like their logo. You know, they got some nice kits. I like the colors on their kits, and their football playing ability is just good enough to stick in the league for a long time. Next we have Fulham. Fulham's one of those teams I want them to do better. They have an interesting young team, but they end up being quite. Mm, I'm gonna put them in nothing special. They have a couple upcoming players like Lookman, which are interesting to watch. But a couple like a month ago, that penalty he took, oof, it was dreadful. I don't know. To me, Fulham, I wanted them to be better, but they're just nothing special. Southampton have shocked me time and time again. I always think they're going to be a bottom tier team, but um, they're interesting. They got some. I like how Ward Prowse has played just an amazing amount of games in a row, and he's always playing. I love it watching his free kicks. I like watching Danny Ings and Adams play up top, and somehow they always manage to score a goal almost every single game. And yeah, they're gonna go into interesting for now. Chelsea. Um, I When someone asks me which team I support, I usually say Chelsea, but I don't really I'm not really loyal to one team. But I've always said Chelsea for 10 years, and um, they are an interesting team. I think they offer something different to the league. Their team right now is stacked, and they have an interesting manager in Lampard, who used to be a player. I remember the days back when Lampard and Didier Drogba used to play. That was prime Chelsea. But the club has a lot of history, and I'm gonna put them in this season. Hmm, great or awesome? They're great. Their acquisition of Werner is cool, and I like how much money they're spending. So I'm gonna put them in awesome. They're an interesting team to follow. Leeds, I'm going to put in great. I love their very iconic manager in Bielsa. I love their will to attack no matter what. That opening game against Liverpool 4-3. Gosh, I think they in the first half of the season they really scared so many teams, and their dynamic style of play, and none of their players are really A-listers, but together they have this incredible press in the attack. So I think they're great this season. Leicester City, um, they're a bit of a wild card always. They ever since they got up from the championship, they've just been a wild card. They usually score a goal every game. They have an interesting manager. They have some stars like Vardy. Um, to me, I'm gonna put them in interesting. It's always you never really know how a game with Leicester is gonna go. Um, just behind, just ahead of Southampton. Manchester City. Now this team has flair. I love their kits. The light blue. Pep Guardiola is iconic. Kevin De Bruyne, I think, is the best player out there right now. Um, passing play. Well, last season was more. They were better, but this season still, you can never go wrong watching a Manchester City game. Something interesting always happens. Some always good football to be played. Next, the Manchester United club. I used to not like Manchester United at all, but now I'm Norwegian, and they have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in as their manager, and that's made it very interesting. And I'm rooting for them now to do well, and they're really interesting. I love the acquisition of Fernandez and how they have so many star players, and they're just quite entertaining to watch. I find myself rooting for them quite often. Next, we have Sheffield, which unfortunately have to go in boring for me. Above, above, above West Bromwich. Last season, it was interesting how they could hold up, and I loved watching Lundstrom get up there and score goals. But this season, they're very boring. They don't score goals. What can I say? Nothing to write home about, and it's just clean boring. Next, we have Newcastle, which I'm gonna put in okay for their history and um, just their ability to be the most average team ever. What else can I say about Newcastle? I don't really have anything to say. They're just okay. Now we have Liverpool. Liverpool is gonna have to go in awesome, even though I find myself wanting them to lose because they've just won. Um, they have just a very unique team in Salah and Mane and Firmino and Shaqiri, Minamino. I think they're a unique team. They brought some players that weren't stars and made them stars. And Jurgen Klopp is just like Pep Guardiola. Just watching them two clash it out is just amazing. It is so iconic. Um, but yeah, they go in awesome. They go above Chelsea. Next we have Crystal Palace, which is just okay. I I'd put them just behind Newcastle. I I um I like Roy Hodgson as a manager, and I like their star players like Zaha and Townsend. Um, and Wan-Bissaka was really good for them last year, and then Manchester United got a steal with that deal. Um, but to me, they just aren't too exciting to watch. Sometimes they'll have their good games, but I much rather watch a Wolves game or a Leeds game than Crystal Palace. Next, we have Everton, which have been great this season. I've loved to watch Everton with their new manager, Ancelotti, and James and Calvert-Lewin's been great this year. Richarlison, they're a very exciting team. They're very close to being top tier. They've just been just exciting as Leeds. They attack in an interesting manner. I've always been a fan of James ever since the 2000 what was it 14 World Cup, and they've slowed down a little bit, but they're really a top contender for me for just most wild card team of the season. Next, we have Aston Villa, which I found very boring to watch last season, but this season they're very they're the top of interesting for me. They just shocked me with how consistent they can be, and beating Liverpool 7-1 was one of the most entertaining games I've ever seen. I love Grealish's creativity. I love how Watkins always goes offside just by a centimeter and doesn't get the goal. And what can I say? The only thing holding the back is their kits. Not very interesting. So many brown kits this season. Next we have Spurs, which have Mourinho now, and I find them really, really good, really interesting to watch. I love the dynamic of Kane and Son, and now Bale, and they just feel very clean to me. I like watching them play, and I think they offer something different from the other top clubs. Now we get to Arsenal, which are just behind Leeds for me. Hmm, almost want to put them behind Aston Villa, but I won't. They're they have to drop down to interesting. I'm gonna put Aston Villa in great. Um, Arsenal last season they were more interesting. In the very beginning of the season they had some interesting games, but I don't really. I think Arsenal buys players and then makes them boring, and just the whole Ozil situation, and they just to me this season they're just a dumpster fire. Nothing interesting. I however love the theme of the Cannoneers, I mean the Gunners and their emblem and their history, but this season they're just gonna be interesting. However, they're gonna get Ødegaard from loan, and I'm a Norwegian, and that could definitely take them up to awesome. We'll see if he gets to play. And finally, we have West Ham, which I'm going to put in just behind Arsenal. I think they've also shocked me this season. It's a shame that Antonio's been injured so much because he's one of my favorite players in the league. Um, but they've shocked me, and they're actually proving to be quite an interesting team to watch, both defensively and offensively. They have some players that I've really invested into this season, like Bowen and Socek. They're just an all-round good team, similar to Wolves, only a little bit more capable this season. Um, but that about wraps up my tier list. Remember, this was just a casual point of view. Don't get offended if your club got low down here. Um, it could change next season, and let me know what your top five most interesting clubs are, and then let me know what you think is the most boring club as well. Subscribe for more of this content, and go check out my other tier lists. All right, thank you for watching.